Mearns, comedian, found himself looking for work at the start of the pandemic. Raymond got in touch with Brightwork. Here's his story. Here's how we helped him. I'm delighted to welcome on the Brightwork podcast a man I've known for a number of years, Raymond Mearns, who's a well-known comedian, film star, and Glasgow character. And Raymond had got in touch with me into the pandemic about his situation. And then a part of this, what I'd like to talk about Raymond, and talking about in general, is we had to support people through some of the most, frightening, scary times in work that I can recall. And Raymond, I don't know, so I'm going to keep talking here, but I'd just like to introduce you and say, well, thanks for joining me, first of all.
Okay, great to be here, Sean. Wonderful to be here. Great to speak to you.
And so, you know, there's a first of all, I'd say there's a side to recruitment, you know, and I've worked in it for a number of years, and I've had people pass comment to me about our industry and people that work in our industry. And I can't say we're all the same, right? But it's a really satisfying job, but it's got a bit of a reputation and money hungry, greedy and all the rest of it. But, you know, in my experience and the people I've worked with, particularly the ones that I work with in Brightwork, they're not like that. It's about helping people. And there's a bit of a story for you that I'd like you to tell. So Raymond, you know, I've seen you on stage. I've known you've done some of our conferences for Brightwork, and you've made us all laugh and barrel roll, and it's been brilliant. But then you got in touch with me last year, so tell me what happened.
Well, what happened with me personally, Sean, and is the reason why I approached yourself, was as a stand-up comic, my income evaporated. I had gigs in hand, I had a tour booked, I had a sold-out show at the Glasgow Comedy Festival, which was scheduled to take place 2 weeks after lockdown was called, and my income evaporated. It was gone. So now, thankfully, I did get government assistance, and credit to Rishi Sunak and the government. Credit where it's due. I don't want to be all kind of, you know, I know, tribal about it. But as being a taxpayer, a self-employed taxpayer, I got an SEISS grant, yep. And that was wonderful. But immediately I needed a job. I had no income coming in. And so I know what you do. I know what Brightwork does. I know you're an employment agency. And bearing in mind, I mean, I hadn't actually worked since 2003. I got to 35 years old and retired from working, and I went and became a full-time actor and comedian. And it's a wonderful existence. And I've always made a living. For that, I'm very grateful and very blessed. But I needed to work. I needed to get an income. I was slightly concerned I may have been unemployable. I may have got into some bad habits, become a wee bit of a sloth. Maybe I could even get up in the morning because I become a bit of a night owl. So that's why I contacted you, Chad. I needed a job, and you were wonderful. Brightwork got me a fantastic opportunity where they put me in through your agency with the NHS in Lanarkshire.
Okay.
And that's amazingly where I've been since that time. So
you're still there then, Raymond? You're still working there?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I am. Well, what happened subsequent to that was I started with them late May, early June of 2020. By the November, I kind of got into a nice wee situation where I was doing all the PPE, and I was also became responsible for getting all the PCR tests out to a lot of the places in a lot of the care homes, etc., in Lanarkshire, and they gave me a full-time contract for a year. So that runs until November 2021. So I'm basically honouring that contract, and I'm still there. My business hasn't come back yet. Anyway, my comedy business, my funny business, but that's coming back in fits and starts now as we speak here in August.
Brilliant. So I mean, so it's like for me, it's just one story. and it's a story of somebody that, you know, you're in the public eye, people know who you are, and it's great to know that we've been, or the team's been able to support you and help you into work. Is there, like, so that's your first time, you know, registering with a recruitment agency and going out to work.
Yeah.
So I take it you didn't have a clue how it worked, or did you know what to expect?
No, I had no idea. No idea. But it's a fairly simple process. I mean, I had no idea you were part of a bigger process. I think there's a staff line thing.
That's right, yeah.
Where you're clearly part of a group of employment agencies, and that whole thing, you know, is there really as a, I suppose, as a system for temporary workers to carry on working in various different guises, I suppose. Yeah. Because once you're on that system, I imagine that database, you get information about where there are jobs, and I've put in my specific skill sets, the fact that I can drive, and if you get any enhanced driving qualifications, these are a massive advantage, a great asset to any potential employers. So, and then any qualifications you maybe have in past experience. So the bigger picture is the bigger, you know, the staff line people, they know all that. You access that, as do other agencies. And it's a question of just trying to, for me, I had to look at what were my skills again and kind of think back on my CV and that sort of thing and say, what can I bring to the table here? You know, I mean, it's maybe not the greatest thing in the world to go to an employer. They say, what have you been doing for the last 18 years? Well, I've just been hanging about waiting for gigs. So I was kind of worried that would be an issue. But I think people know, they see the attitude, and I was a hard worker, and I really needed the job. And it was really important for me to make sure that I fitted in. And I was, when I went into the NHS in Lanarkshire, that I had a job to do, and I did the job, and I did the job to the best of my abilities. And if it's something I didn't know, I just asked, and the rest you kind of pick up. And
you got into it. I mean, there's something that we see, and I'm maybe going into a bit of the technicalities about this now, is in the marketplace now, it's hard. It's the labour market has got very tight, if that makes sense. There's not enough people looking for work to fill the gaps. And I think that a mixture of the COVID and the pandemic have led to, sorry, not COVID, the pandemic plus Brexit have meant that a lot of employers are finding it very, very hard to recruit across all levels. And you maybe find, and we're finding that it's hard, and it's hard work to get people out. But hearing your story, that's quite satisfying. But I'm sorry, Raymond, on you go.
Well, I mean, I think that, as difficult as that has become, the labour market becoming tight, I think it's become a great opportunity. The way I look at it, it's an opportunity for, if somebody out there's listening to this and they're saying, do you know, I'd really like to maybe go and get a job through an agency, but maybe I'm not employable, maybe I've been out of the loop too long, or maybe I've got some issues. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a great opportunity there to go and approach somebody like yourself, like somebody from Brightwork, and say, do you know what, I'm very keen to, I have maybe haven't worked for a while, for a long time. I hadn't worked for 18 years, 17 years.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I was working as doing my thing, right? But people just have to, and it's an attitude to say, there's an opportunity there. Go and speak to somebody like Brightworks and say, I'd really like to do a job, but I'm not sure. I'm a wee bit uneasy. I don't know if you would offer some help in that sense if somebody's not sure, and maybe they feel a bit limited in certain regards. I've no idea, but there's definitely an opportunity there. Employers are looking for staff.
Yeah.
And if you want, I think anybody listening, if they want to go and, if they want to get a job, I think there's an opportunity there. Definitely. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely. So you're right. And I think that's it's an old adage. I think it's something my father used to say, but if you want to work, there's work. And I think we're finding that if somebody's and we've seen it, you know, the team seen it, the guys see it all the time, you know, people are maybe unsure, a bit nervous, they've not been for a job interview, or you've mentioned yourself there, you know, you've been working and gigging, but you've not had to really go through a registration or an interview process before, and we can try and help you with it. And I actually stand up and say most recruitment companies would help you and support you anyway, not just Brightwork, but they would all help you and say, well, listen, I've not been for, I'm a bit nervous, or I'm a bit worried, or I've not worked for years, I'm going to struggle. And people will genuinely want to help.
Yeah, and I think all you have to bring to that situation is a willingness and an attitude that, you're not entitled to anything or whatever. You're just trying to match. If there's jobs out there that you can do, I'm sure they can find it for you. So be a bit open-minded, have a good attitude, a good positive attitude, and, really just take that chance, that there's definitely an opportunity there. Just go for it.
Brilliant. So I'd say, well, can I ask you then something quite about, so you've worked in comedy for your most of your career.
I would never call it work, dear boy.
So you love what you do, right?
It's wonderful. It's
love what you do. And if you find, can I ask you this question? Is if it doesn't feel like work when you're doing it, it doesn't feel like work. Does that make sense?
Absolutely correct. Because any artistic endeavor it's a Taoist thing, a Chinese philosophy. It's a bit like golf. It's a bit like swinging a golf club. You got to let the physics of the swing do it. You just when you do anything effortlessly, if you're singing at the karaoke and you're trying too hard, you're going to ruin your voice. If it, like comedy, if you try to get a laugh, you'll never get a laugh. It's got to flow. You got to just be cool and just be, let the world's just going to keep turning and you just kind of do your thing. That's the only I can describe it. It's got to be effortless. Any art has to be effortless. Painting a picture, writing a book, it's got to be just, you've got to let it just, it's creativity, isn't it? It's just got to flow out of you. And in works, I think it's the same thing. I think if you're a driver and you're late or something or whatever, and you're rushing too hard and you're changing gear and you're stalling the car or whatever, just don't let things get on top. Just do your job. Just chill out and do the best you can. That's all you can hope for. And you know what? Some absurdities will creep in. That's life, man. Some you'll make a mistake. You'll make a right arse of yourself. Yeah. You'll do the wrong thing or say the wrong. Do you know what? Forgive yourself. You're human. It happens. I never met anybody that's perfect. Oh, apart from my missus at the minute. She is awesome.
She's close by, isn't she? She's listening.
Yeah. No, she's great. But we're the same, Annie and I. We talk about this often. Yeah. Even I'm 53 years old. I'm still learning. In fact, the older I get, the less sure I am that I don't know anything, Mm-hmm. But maybe that's a sign of wisdom, Shan. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
But you know what? I can't disagree with you in that. I think the older I've got and the less hair I've got through life, I've realised that there's so much I don't know, and I'm not going to try and know it, and I'm not going to try and rush it. So I actually just try and go with the flow, and actually I've started to enjoy it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's what you can do. I think people are kind of maybe trying a wee bit too hard or wanting things for the wrong reasons, you see. Mm-hmm. I think we kind of make crazy life choices sometimes, and rather than take responsibility for them, we maybe seek to blame somebody else. That was your fault, I did that. No, you take responsibility. Just try and do the right thing.
Yeah. That's a good moral compass to live by, isn't it? If you just try and do the right thing, you'll follow the right path. Do the right thing.
And you'll be okay. Just accept everything. Deny nothing. Whatever happens in your life happens in your life. If it's your fault, own up to it and try not to do it again.
Great. Loving it.
It took me years to get to that stage. Yeah, I only learned that last week.
Older they get, the wiser you get, isn't it, really? Older you get. Okay. Well, listen, Raymond, we're going to get this podcast out over the next, we'll get it out today or tomorrow. So it's been a delight. And I think, it's personally I was delighted to hear, success there, getting fixed term contract as well, but actually then being able to continue to cope with your comedy, and hopefully, as we've just heard earlier on today, that Scotland's opening up again.
Well,
You think?
aye, because I'm doing a fringe show. I'm doing a show at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, and that starts on the 6th of August.
Right.
And
Okay.
with the social distancing, I'll fill that wee mad room in the Beehive. Hopefully, obviously there'll be you need to wear masks when you're moving around and when you're not having a drink. But we'll get there. We'll get through it, and we'll just have a good laugh.
Brilliant. Okay, so Raymond, you're live at the Beehive in Edinburgh. It's part of the Fringe, 6th of August. How many nights are you doing?
I think it's only 23 this year. There's one or two. They got to shut the venue for a couple of days to reconfigure the room from when the restrictions ease.
Right, okay.
So 23 nights. But
Brilliant.
you know, it's effortless, dear boy. Effortless.
And there's what you hear. What I'd love to hear is somebody who enjoys. Don't even call it work. He just enjoys what he does so much, and he gets paid for it.
Getting paid for having a laugh. That's what we do, Shan. You know, and if I could get paid for this podcast, that would be wonderful.
I'll work that out afterwards. I'll let you know about
Right.
that one. Aye, okay.
I'll get my people to talk to your people.
Speak to my agent. Right, Raymond, pleasure as always. Thank you very much, and delighted to that Brightwork have supported you in the last 18 months or so. So I wish you all the best, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shan. Thanks for having me. Cheers, pal.
Cheers now.
Bye.